All right, so we're going to go ahead and record this call. And just once again, I'm Jessica. I'm the corporate trainer with Pivotal on the United States side. And we're going to go through GlobalOne, our proprietary gateway product. So there is a video out on our Vimeo account, and it's actually a videotape of Patrick Hewen, who created this product from the ground up with some of his friends initially. It is him walking through the product. It is well worth your time. I think it's under 20 minutes. It might be 15 minutes or so. But it's definitely worth going out and taking a peek at. So I think that this is it right here. And we're not going to watch it. I'm just making sure that I point you to the right place. Yeah, 25 minutes. And so you'll be led through a really nice, thorough demo by Patrick, who knows this product inside and out, and literally did design it in his basement. Initially, anyway. Now that being said, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I'm going to open up the deck that we're going to use today. And we'll start here. So it's always important when you're starting to sell to talk about value proposition, right? It's really what the sale ends up being all about. Whether that value proposition is price, service, features, functionality, there's always something that's going to seal the deal for someone to purchase a good or a service from you. What we did a few months ago is went out to a group of internal sales staff that we have. These guys are e-commerce telemarketers that are employed directly by us. Their job is to sell GlobalOne to e-commerce merchants. So we were going to do a GlobalOne training for them, and I thought, let's gauge the atmosphere. Let's see what these guys are selling, why they're selling it. Are they leaning towards GlobalOne? Are they leaning towards other gateways? And this is the feedback that we got. So we asked them to rate the importance of each of these selling features when they're out there talking about gateway solutions. Look at this top one. Easy integration to a merchant's website was rated almost 95%. Very important. So pretty much everybody that's out there selling this product for our sales team is saying this is one of the top things that we sell on because we know that our merchants are looking for easy integration. Same thing, they're looking for QuickBooks or accounting software integration, on-demand reporting, fraud management, recurring billing, multi and dynamic currency. These are all key features that our sales guys are focusing on. Guess what? They're out there selling GlobalOne because GlobalOne has all of those features. So their value proposition becomes very easy. So what's e-commerce? Simply said, e-commerce is commercial transactions that are conducted electronically on the internet. Now don't let that commercial transactions fool you. This is not just business to business. This is just saying anybody that is selling goods or services over the internet and allowing a consumer, a business, whomever, to purchase that good or service over the internet is considered e-commerce. So let's talk about, give me a few examples. Who are some e-commerce retailers that we are familiar with as consumers? Throw a couple names out there. Sure, Walmart's a good one. Target. How about a big one that starts with an A, one of the biggest e-commerce ones out there? Yeah, Amazon. Those are all e-commerce. Now, those are big ones, right? You guys are not going to be going after those big fish. But there are plenty of smaller merchants who are selling their goods or services online. Now, GlobalOne is a great e-commerce solution, but it is not the only e-commerce solution. Okay, there's plenty of other ones that are out there. Now, also, GlobalOne is a great e-commerce solution, but it is also a great Moto solution. So for folks that are looking for a laptop or computer type of program that they can run to accept payments, GlobalOne works fantastically. So, GlobalOne, transactions beyond borders. One point of integration allows our merchants to sell globally, not just within the United States, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in this presentation. GlobalOne is technology that was built to maximize revenue. It's our job to help put a solution in our merchants' hands that helps them reduce their operating expenses and, of course, make their business run efficiently. We want to help them proactively manage payments. We don't want them to be reactive, we want them to be proactive. So we give them tools that empower them to boost profits and increase their bottom line. So increasing revenue, we want to be able to allow our US-based merchants to sell globally. We're going to enhance and expand their global reach with their product or service. We're going to help them reduce card declines through GlobalOne, maximize approval rates, increase sales conversions, and give them access to higher growth markets that are global markets. Again, another point that we'll talk about. We want to help improve the bottom line, lower interchange fees, give them easy integration, spend less time worrying about integration and paying a web developer. We'll help them with all of that. This is what the dashboard looks like, and once we get through this presentation, I'm going to take you through a real quick demo of GlobalOne. So this is the screen that everybody sees when they log into GlobalOne, and it can be manipulated. So they can see different data depending on what it is that they're particularly interested in that day. You can see it's very clean, it's very aesthetically pleasing, nice, simple color scheme, gives you data, graphs, pie charts, whatever you're looking for. And of course, it's not just for reporting. GlobalOne is a virtual terminal. That is what it's here for, is to process transactions. Worldwide e-commerce sales account for 1.3 trillion US dollars. We can get a lot of our retail and moto merchants up and running on e-commerce to help them profit from that $1.3 trillion industry that e-commerce is. GlobalOne provides access to the world's largest e-commerce regions and over 130 global payment processors. Now, what I want to talk about here is looking at these little dots that are on this map here. This is what that 1.3 trillion is made up of. So you can see that Europe and North America are heavy in the e-commerce markets, and they each contribute to around 35% of that e-commerce sales volume. Asia Pacific is slowly climbing. If you would have looked at this years ago, that Asia Pacific number would look more like Latin America. Asia Pacific is growing exponentially. GlobalOne can give our US-based merchants access to sell into that Asia Pacific market. They have consumers that are eager to buy. Let's get them buying, and let's get our US merchants profiting from that. So this transactions beyond borders. This is one of the biggest selling points of GlobalOne. Getting a merchant to be able to sell internationally is huge. Again, we're opening up a lot of doors for them that they have not had access to in the past. Multi-currency processing. We can bill international customers in their local currency, but settle in the US dollar. So for someone in Mexico, they might be paying in a peso, but everything on our side is going to settle in US dollars. Now, you can also, of course, profit from local market pricing, meaning that if the peso is worth a different amount than the US dollar at that point in time, you're going to make up the difference because of that currency conversion. So it puts additional revenue in our pockets, really without doing anything. Access to those higher growth markets like Asia Pacific. Millions of new clients that are out there for the first time getting access to debit and credit cards that are eager to shop. Alternative and local payment methods. A lot of other countries don't just focus on Visa and MasterCard. They have currencies that are local to them. GlobalOne can accept many of those different currencies that are out there. So the multi-currency processing supports over 60 different currencies. So again, we can settle in the local US currency. No special bank setup is needed. We're giving those international clients a local shopping experience. It doesn't feel like they're dealing with the US, except for maybe the shipping charges. No additional investment is required. It's still the same GlobalOne setup, same price as it would be for anything else, and yet these merchants are gaining access to that global marketplace. Multi-currency processing generates an average 12% increase in revenues. If you think about that number, it's huge. So just by opening up that door for them to sell in other markets, other currency acceptance, we're giving them 12% lift in revenue by really doing nothing else. This is an example of that difference in the currency conversion. If you look at this one, if we were to sell, let's say, an iPad, on a US-based e-commerce store, it might cost $519. That same product can be listed in the UK for £399. The difference between the rate of exchange is $131 in the US. So that is giving us an extra profit of $131 for the same product just by selling it overseas. That's a huge revenue lift. Starting to talk again about that access to high growth markets, Asia Pacific specifically. Forecasted growth for Asia Pacific is on pace to outstrip that of North America and Western Europe by nearly 2 to 1. You guys know how much we rely on our credit cards and debit cards, so to say that Asia Pacific is on track to take both of us combined and double, wow. These guys are really starting to make traction in the electronic payment space by putting those cards in these consumers' hands. So e-commerce growth beyond the past 2 years, Asia Pacific is up 25%, while North America and Western Europe are both up about 11%. Some of those supported payment methods that we talked about, those local currencies that are different, you can see in Canada, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Diners Club, JCB, PayPal, Google Pay, Discover. Those are all things that we use in the United States as well. Look over there on the far right-hand side at that Asia Pacific, that large box on the far right. Those are different payment types that are unique to that region. Some of them might be PIN debit networks. Some of them might be just local type of credit cards like Samsung, 7-Eleven, Circle K, and a lot of these in a foreign language that you couldn't even try to get me to tell you what they are, but these are local currencies that most providers cannot accept in the U.S. GlobalOne is set so that they can accept those particular currencies. So like-to-like currencies, again, more than 60 currencies are supported, and the currency conversion is built in, so it is adjusted every time that currency changes. So we have things like the US dollar, the euro, pound, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, Hong Kong dollar. You get the gist of it. There's more than 60 that we can produce like-to-like currency. This is again that alternative and local payments that we just talked about. Alternative payments account for more than $200 billion annually. So these are those different types of methods that we're not used to seeing in the United States that are being used in other countries. Japan has a 60% credit card penetration rate. China just 3%. Latin America, Africa, and Middle East are even lower than that. So there's a lot of different payment methods that are out there that are not credit card related that we want to give our customers access to. We can do that through GlobalOne. I'm going to pause for just a second and see if there's any questions on that global reach, anything to do with GlobalOne's multi-currency and dynamic currency. Okay. We're going to move in to talk about the technology of GlobalOne, some of the key features that we focus on with GlobalOne: auto account updater, decline recycling, omni-channel integration, and auto recurring billing. So starting with auto account updater. Some of you guys may have heard me talk about this on other training calls. Over 30% of credit cards change numbers or expire each year. I always bring up the fact that I have a 17-year-old driver under my roof. The last thing that any parent of a 17-year-old wants is to have their car insurance canceled. So, lucky me, I got a note in my mail one day that said my car insurance policy had been canceled due to non-payment. Well, I'm very particular about paying my bills. I knew there was no way that I happened to overlook that. Found out that my card was part of the Home Depot breach a few months prior. I didn't even think about the fact that my car insurance was tied to my debit card because I tend to use my ACH, my bank account, when I set up my recurring billings. So lo and behold, my card had changed because of that breach, and they canceled my insurance because they couldn't bill me. Auto account updater is linked directly to Visa and MasterCard. Every time a new card is issued, whether it's a new number or a new expiration date, that information is sent through GlobalOne, and the merchant has it in their system so that the next time they go out to bill another month's payment, it's automatically updated. They're not going to get a decline. They don't have to call the customer, worry about canceling policies, products, services, etc. Very, very cool feature. Decline recycling is kind of along the same lines, but it's in fact very different. It is not tied to the card brands at all. Decline recycling is fully compliant with Visa and MasterCard regulations. It analyzes card data in decline reason codes, and then we use a special algorithm that we've written that tells the system when to resubmit decline transactions. So, as an example, most Americans are paid on Fridays. So part of our algorithm might go to say, hey, next Friday should be a payday for many Americans. Let's go ahead and try and resubmit it, see if we can't get an approval. That's just one example of what's built into those special algorithms. It doesn't mean it works every time by any stretch, but decline recycling does very well limit the number of declines that we receive through GlobalOne. Omnichannel integration helps us engage with buyers no matter what their location or what device they're on. E-commerce, mobile, brick and mortar, all under one unified platform. So we can get repeat purchases, drive more business into our customers and repeat business, provide instant access to inventory, pickup locations, and more. This is something that I think most of our ISOs and sales reps don't really focus on, but we do stress the fact that GlobalOne does work on nearly any device, and we can help our merchants improve their sales through that omni-channel integration, bringing everything together. Hey, I think Avita's message, somebody's trying to call Avita or Avita's voicemail is playing. Whoever that is, would you mind muting your phone for me? So e-commerce, mobile, brick and mortar, we can combine all of those into one merchant account essentially. Everything can process through GlobalOne. Automated recurring billing. If any of you guys belong to a gym, CrossFit, yoga, whatever it is that you do, most likely your account gets debited once per month. So on the 15th of every month, I see a debit come out from my gym so that we can go and take care of business. We have to pay that bill every month. GlobalOne is set up for subscription billing. Subscription and recurring mean the same thing. On the Canadian side, they call it subscription billing. So we set it up for recurring billing. It can bill daily, monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, annually, quarterly, whatever it is that you need. You can set up recurring billing to debit from the same debit or credit card. Any questions on those three key features that we just talked about with recurring billing, decline recycling, and auto account updater? Sure. Yes, this is a product that you guys are going to be selling as a gateway. So let's pause here and let me ask another question. GlobalOne is a gateway, and I know that in one of our classes we talked about the difference between softwares and gateways. I want two examples of gateway products that are out in the market. So can you guys think of a couple of different gateways that are out there? Now that is a good... Oops, PayPal. I heard PayPal. That's a good one. Give me another one. I'll come back to your question about a gateway. Yes, Authorize.net. Those are two very good ones. Authorize.net and PayPal are both gateways. So let's answer the question of what's a gateway. A gateway can be accessed from any computer or device with an open internet connection. I like to explain it like your consumer banking, your mobile banking. You might have an app, or you might be able to go to their website, type in Bank of America, log in, and you can access your checking account, savings account, 401k, whatever it is that you have. GlobalOne, along with other gateway products, are the same thing. You access it from any device with that open internet connection, and you can process payments at that time. Now that is different than a software, because a software does not rely upon that internet connection, and it can only be used from that one device where the software is installed. Okay, so you have to have one computer or multiple computers that you've paid for licenses on, and those computers are the only ones that can run transactions. If I own a shoe store, and I'm using GlobalOne, I can run transactions through my iPad, through my iPhone, through my secretary's iPhone, through my laptop, whatever it is. I can run transactions through GlobalOne. Does that answer your question? That depends. It's probably mobile processing that you're seeing, like Square or PayPal, Pivotal Mobile. Are they using it like on a cell phone type of device? I don't know Oh, just like it's got a pin pad on it, you can sign on it. Yeah, that's just a terminal. That's just a countertop terminal. No, 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 no. Global One is through your computer. Typically, you can access it through other devices. No, it works on iPhone, Samsung, any tablet, phone, mobile device. But there's no hardware. No, no, not at this time. Now, I did hear the other day from Patrick that if you were to use if you were to use Global One on your mobile device, that you could actually use the Pivotal mobile reader. I have not tested this, but if you use your mobile device, you can use the audio jack card reader from Pivotal Mobile, and it swipes it and it reads it. That is what I hear. So it will not work on a computer, of course, but it would work on a mobile device with the Pivotal Mobile audio jack reader. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Global One is also great for as an e-commerce solution where you integrate it into the website. So just like if you were shopping on Amazon.com as a consumer, you go in, you type in your own information, and the sale goes over to the merchant. Global One is what's behind the scenes that connects the merchant to the payment provider through for Amazon, right? So it's the payment piece behind it all. Okay. Yes. Yes, your support team would be handling that for you. Avita, do you want to add anything before I answer that? We might have lost Avita. Yes, they will help you to figure out, if there's a particular company or product that might work better for you. Global One is going to be if you're going to set a merchant up with Pivotal and you need an e-commerce solution or a virtual terminal. So what that means is if you're looking for a solution other than a mobile or a countertop or a like a restaurant software like Aloha, Micros, those types of things, Global One is probably going to be the best bet for you to be setting that merchant up with. Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions before I keep going on? This is for any merchant in the US that is looking for an e-commerce or a virtual terminal solution, but it does allow them to process transactions and sell internationally. Yep. This is um, Avita or Anthony. No. Thanks, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, that's a very good analogy. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have a lot of different products and partners that you can work with. So that's very good. So yes, let's just reiterate the fact that Digital World Pay is partnered with Pivotal to offer merchant services programs that you're marketing as Digital World Pay products and programs. GlobalOne is a product designed, developed, and supported by Pivotal, but it is a product and a service that you would be offering as a Digital World Pay product and service. Okay. So GlobalOne, as far as integration, reporting, and client care, we have 24/7 support. We can quickly resolve any issue, and we call that VIP client care. So all of the merchants that you set up on GlobalOne, the support is handled by a team of ours up in Canada. All Most of them are English speaking. I think we have a couple of Spanish speaking reps up there as well. But they're all our own employees that we pay, and they help with the integration if they need that. So if they're looking to build an e-commerce site and they need GlobalOne for that, we'll help them. I'm going to skip through some of these because they're just a lot more complicated types of things. Fraud management, transaction routing for intelligent setting up rules. Those types of things are all through GlobalOne, but I don't want to get too deep into this and get more confusing. We do have secure card storage through GlobalOne, so it's kind of like a digital wallet where we can reduce the PCI liability for our merchants because we'll store the card numbers that they're using, especially those for recurring payments like gyms. PCI is a set of security standards that everyone that deals with electronic payments has to follow. It basically helps us to prevent breaches in the industry. And everybody, yes, it is. There's a training that is out there. You can go to PCI. Hold on, let me double check myself. I think it's PCIcouncil.org is a really good resource for you to go to. Or is it PCI Security Standards? There it is, PCIsecuritystandards.org. Will take you out here. And this is something that all merchants, all acquirers, all ISOs, all equipment vendors, technology vendors, everybody has to follow these security standards. And there is, that acronym stands for something. I have no idea what it stands for. I've been doing this for 10 years and I couldn't even tell you. So anyway, that's something that you guys want to check out on your free time. Educate yourselves on PCI. It is critical to our industry. Okay, so we tokenize all of our card numbers that are stored in that wallet, we'll call it, within GlobalOne. So what that means is it turns a 16-digit numeric credit card or debit card number into a string of nonsense. So it might take that 16-digit card number and turn it into A4BZ92P, means nothing. So if a merchant were to ever be breached, all of the data is tokenized, which makes it pretty much impossible to use it elsewhere. Again, VIP client care, rapid implementation. Our client solutions team will help get them up and running, get their website integrated, and we'll be there to answer any questions after they're set up, of course. This is a very simple API that we have set up, so web developers love that. It's very easy to write the code. So this is for merchants who want to integrate their website into GlobalOne. They, of course, have to write code to make the two systems talk to one another. And the code is, again, another good question. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but I bet I could tell you. If anybody else knows, feel free to jump in. Let me find where I threw our glossary. Here, let's just resort to the old standby we call Google. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're very welcome. Payment. Nope, that's not right. That is not our PCI. That must stand for something else. I think it's payment something, payment card something. Is that what it is? There you go. So PCI stands for payment card industry, but more than the acronym, don't worry about that. Worry about PCI as a set of security standards that keeps us all safe and keeps everybody involved in electronic payments their data secure. No, no, there's not really non-VIP. We just kind of call the GlobalOne support VIP support. It's just a marketing type of thing. Yeah, yeah. No, it's not like that at all. It's not like that. Correct, correct. All right. So back to your question of what is API. Here's the Google search. It tells it a application how to interact with a specific system. So, for example, for Windows or databases to be able to talk to a program, that's what an API is. API is specific to internet coding. So it it tells websites basically how to talk to other systems, including payment gateways. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Back over to here. So, simple API, again, we help them with all of that coding and integration. Typically, a merchant that has an e commerce business, they're going to have a web developer or a web designer. So, even though we have this help for them, oftentimes these guys can handle most of it themselves because they have professionals that do it, that they pay to do it. GlobalOne does work on, like I said, tablets, laptops, desktops, mobile phones, you name it. You can pull it up and it will work for you. Now, before I show you the demo of GlobalOne, do you have any other questions? Yes, it would be a great product to sell to website developers. Yes and no. It kind of depends because it's a fine line. They're basically going to have to sell for you in a way. They're going to have to talk to these merchants about, do you have somebody already set up? If not, do you want to get set up with us? It's kind of a fine line. That may not completely answer your question. I try to skirt around it a little bit. Anybody is a good prospect. It's just you're kind of, in a way, leaning your sale over to somebody else to handle for you. So you kind of use, instead of selling to them, you'd kind of use them as a referral source. So if I was a web developer, you might come to me and say, hey, I work for Digital World Pay. When you're setting up new customers' websites, why don't you refer them over to me and I'll see if I can sell them with our services? There you go. Yeah, that's definitely something you could do. Yes, ma'am. Hmm. I would say we're pretty much all across the board. We can work with most hardware that's out there, so countertop terminals and pin pads. We work with most of it, just like any other provider. And really, unless it's a risk issue, there's really no industry that is off limits. Yes, yes. The Ingenico ICT 220 is our free terminal, and that does have an injectable pin pad, so you can do pin-based debit processing with that as well. Oh, the ICT 220? No, it's a countertop terminal. I think I have a picture of it. Yeah, it looks. Yes, correct. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the demo. I'm just logging in here. Ah, maybe. Watch me lock myself out. Okay, woohoo! It worked. All right, this is GlobalOne and this is the dashboard. And you can kind of move things around. Like I said, you can swap, do whatever you want to, change the data so that you can see what you're looking at. Just a very quick glance. One of the neat things about this is that you can actually kind of use it as a corporate roll-up. So if I wanted to, if I had 10 different stores, I could set up my home screen so I can see all 10 stores at once. So I can see how everything is performing with one simple login. So that's the dashboard. The next bit is going to be the virtual terminal. We have sale, subscription, which is recurring, and refund. So if we go to sale, my internet has been a little bit slow this morning, so I apologize for the delay. There we go. This is a standard transaction. Right now, I'm under the Canadian login, so just ignore that. It would say US dollars. We'll say $1. You could put in a description if you needed to, like, 2 long sleeve t-shirts, whatever. Credit card type, Visa, MasterCard. The number. The expiration date, cardholder name. And then these are optional fields. You'll notice that there's no asterisk. These are specific fields that I have set up. You can put in anything that you want to come through the transaction for reporting purposes. So if you were to set up let's say a school, library, or a lunch account, you could set up an additional field for the lunch number of the student or for the library card number of the student, something like that. You have customizable fields that you can put in here. And this is going to give me a decline because I just made up a card number here. So, if we could even get that far. You get the gist of it here. Very simple sales screen. Here's your recurring. If we go and click on subscription here, there's currently no subscriptions that are set up, so I'm actually going to go over to our subscription under the customers tab. We're going to enable one of these. So this one says it should be active, monthly, active. see if that'll come back into subscriptions now. Oh, it's because it doesn't have a payment due. Okay, I don't want to take the time to do that. But basically what it'll do is it'll give us a list of all of the customers that are under the subscriptions that have a payment that's coming up within the next set amount of time. And so we can actually go in and process the payment at that point if we needed to do that. Now what you'll notice here, if I go in and look at any one of these, so this is summer tuition for this guy that we've set up. Here's the card number, completely truncated. Here's the order ID, the date the transaction was processed, the amount, the card type, and then the total amount of payments that have been collected from that particular card. So now we have additional detail by going down in here, and we can also print off a merchant receipt. So we can give a cardholder copy or a merchant copy. We can get a response, sale type, commerce type, unique reference ID, order ID. All of this stuff is stored up in here, so they have everything that they need from a reporting standpoint. You can also refund and void from this screen. So if the batch is not settled, you can void the transaction. If it has, you can go in and do the refund. On our refund screen, same thing as a sale, except it's going to obviously let us put a credit back on, and we can look up specific order IDs or unique references. Instead of putting in the card information, we can just pull it from the history, which is very, very simple. Now, bulk payments are what it sounds like. If you have a group of payments that needs to be processed at once, we can upload those in and then process the transactions all at one time. Remember that digital wallet that we talked about and how everything gets truncated? This is what we're talking about. So we have a truncated card, but then we also have a card reference. So this is our tokenized card number. So this is that string of mumbo jumbo. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. There's nothing that a crook could pull out of this. So we could use this if we needed to process a sale. I just clicked on use, and now I can go to the sale and use this particular cardholder's information. I don't have to go put it back in. And then look, here's the reference number. This is that tokenized number, so his card number is nowhere to be found. You saw the subscriptions. We can adjust subscriptions, and we can also look at the stored subscriptions. So this is a monthly subscription that we have set up. If this was a gym, for example, this is one that they would probably want to set up. It says the amount that needs to be billed. Is it for a certain amount of time or unlimited? What's the time frame? And do we want to do it automatic or manual, meaning on the 15th of every month, do you want it to go out and just bill everybody at once, or do you need to come in and set it up yourself first? Reporting, we can look at open batch, closed batch, and customers. You can also look at outstanding subscriptions and expiring secure cards. So if you needed to go out and talk to somebody, these are these are cards that have recently expired, so we would want to get new cards from them if the merchant was not opted into automatic. Your yawn just threw me off. If they were not updated with auto account updater. There we go. Spit it out, Jessica. Auto account updater. These would automatically be updated if they were. Merchants don't really need to look at this, but this is the currency rates, the exchange rates. So if I were to put in $4 US and I wanted to see what it was in the Australian dollar, here's today's currency exchange rate. And then here's the settings. We can set up payment pages. So it'll give you a particular template, like if we want to do it in internet, we could say thanks for your business. This is going to be just a very, very simple type of template. It's nothing to write home about. Hit update, payment page preview, and this is what we could write into a merchant's website just through a couple of clicks like that, if it will open. So this is a very simple payment page that can be embedded into a customer's website. Now, there are full integrations. So just like when you go to Amazon or to Walmart, how you don't really feel like you're leaving their page, everything is the same. Those are things we can do as well through GlobalOne. But it works like this for anybody that needs just a very simple integration. You can change the colors, the fonts, that whole bit. You can also adjust your users if you have staff that you don't want to be able to issue credits or pull certain reports. Those are all things that you can adjust in your user settings. You can change your prompt. So remember CVV, the 3-digit code from the back of the card. Do we want to turn that on or off? AVS, address verification, those types of things. Enabled cards, these are all things that are taken care of. It's not something a merchant would have to worry about. Remember the custom fields. Here's where we can put those in. We can add, edit, or delete those from this screen. So that library card or lunch number, those types of things. Email alerts and SMM alerts, so text messages or email if you want to receive emails based on net sales, approvals, declines, pens, voids, and refunds. Manager, owner can do that. And then last but not least, here's the receipt. So you can change terms and conditions that go on the bottom of the receipt if you need to. And that is a very high-level overview of GlobalOne and the functionality of it. You guys have any questions on that demo that I just went through? Okay. We still have about 8 minutes before the hour, so I will open it up for any other questions about GlobalOne, or if you guys have anything generic that you'd like to bring up, you can certainly do that now. That is something that your support team would have to tell you because it's different between our partners. It's very minimal, though, I'll tell you that. Compared to other products that are out in the market that do the same thing, GlobalOne is priced well below. Between 30 and $50 a month, because this is a gateway, so you're paying for it monthly. It's not like a one-time upfront fee, like a license for software is. There's usually a setup fee that's involved, and then you're paying monthly access for that gateway. Yes, ma'am. You kind of cut out on the cross-border fee. Is that what you said? Yes, the cross-border fee is a part of interchange. It's nothing that you can control or I can control. GlobalOne, because of the way that it's set up and some of the rules that are built into it, it does actually help to minimize those cross-border fees. There's a lot of reasoning and I'll call it functionality that goes on behind the scenes that contributes to that. It's all well within Visa and MasterCard regulations, but it is a pass-through fee. Yes, that's a great way to say it. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a wonderful tool for international cards as well as US based cards. Thank you. Any other questions on GlobalOne or any other generic questions I can answer for you at this time? Can you say the first part of that question again? Oh, how soon can you implement it? They say within hours, but that's like the most simple of simple integrations. I would say for an average small mom and pop type of merchants, within a couple of days, we can usually have the integration worked out. Obviously, the more complex, the more time we need, but definitely within a week, I would say is the average. Any other questions? Yes. Um, just in general, you're talking about. can you sell to those major stores and those restaurants? I'm having a hard time hearing you. You kind of sound like you're distant, so I didn't hear the first part of what you said. Okay. Yeah, I think I understand what you're asking. Really, like I said earlier, no business is off limits, but I will tell you that you're going to run into a lot of businesses that you just can't sell, especially with larger chain stores and some of those big box stores. There's really two reasons. Number one, pricing. Those guys are often found with huge processors like First Data that can offer them extremely low pricing. We're talking pennies per transaction over interchange. We just can't compete with that. It's very hard for most processors too. First Data oftentimes will even process for a merchant basically at cost or below cost just to be able to have that relationship. So there are going to be times where you'll run into that, and it will keep you away from some of those bigger stores. The second thing is that PCI, when you start to talk to those big box stores, those guys fall into a different PCI category than most merchants do. And it's basically you have to staff a full-time group of people to help them manage PCI. And I know that sounds silly, but it's very true. First Data, for example, has Walmart. They have a staff, the last time I heard, I think it was 130 something people that were dedicated specifically to the Walmart relationship. And so they were basically relationship managers, 131 of them, and I'm sure it's more than that now, that work just for Walmart's First Data portfolio. So there are certain things that have to keep us away from those bigger merchants, but I want you to go out with the mentality that nothing is off limits. It's always worth a try. Even if we can't do it, it's worth a try. Oh, you just cut out on me. I don't know whose voice that was, but I've completely lost you. All right. I assume that he'll get with support, Barbara, Evita, one of you guys. Are there any other questions that I can answer? Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, thank you guys very much for joining. We are still so pleased that you guys are joining these trainings, and I had a whole bunch of you guys on this morning's pricing training. Thank you, thank you. The more knowledge, the better, and I'm happy to help train you guys when it comes to these things. So thanks for taking time out, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. You bet. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.